Aolin sent me a video
Okay, yeah, what of?
talking about you.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
and here, put this on.
Yeah. Wow.
Me and Aaron Solomons, we have been training together in the past 4 years. It's pretty long. At the very beginning, I go to him and I say, "Hey, can you be my coach?" And he said yes. And what do you want to improve? Then I said I will be focusing on constantly with monofin and try to see what kind of depths I can go. Then it seems to be working really well with the normal Frenzel skills. Um, Normally, where I charge at 25 and 28 meters, like everybody does, then I would be able to equalize 70, 80 meters, no problem at all. Then we eventually, we reach a point where I go beyond the 90 meters, then the normal friends are starting to fail, or sometimes even fail earlier. Then, if the target is 90 meter, I can end up the equalization at like 80, 86 or 87. Then I start, riding the air a little bit. That's obviously a really bad habit. Then that's the time actually we have sit down and think about this thoroughly about how we are going to train together in order to improve this situation, because you know every year we are planning for a targeted competition, and one should be normally is the world championship. Another one next year would be the Bahamas vertical blue. Then every time we then starting a training method with the RV training to um, try to improve the blood shift at depth, and at the same time working on solving the problem of equalization. But at the base training period is using the RV completely, exhale all the air in the lungs, and try to see how it doesn't the depth of the RV dive is not as important. What is the how how your equalization works at that depth does mean a lot for you. What I mean is, um, for my depth, if we do a RV dive at 30 meters, not everybody can do that, but I have adapted the training method from Aolin for right now it's almost 3 years, and every time we do depths we all do RV. Then the depths improving fairly quick. First starting from like 15 meters, that's really good actually. But if you do the math at 30 meter, um, when for a competitive freediver who have a RV of like 20% on average, maybe you are at the depth where the pressure is so big that using RV can simulate that kind of depth is just insane. If you are able to equalize with that kind of pressure, then for sure with 100 meter you should be having no problem at all. Then I get maybe on the second year I starting to dive um, to 30 meters with an RV dive. Then that's the time where I pass the 100 meters without any equalization problems. But still, I am using the normal Frenzel equalization skills. But the potential I know is not so big. But you can always improving a little bit, slightly a little bit more. Then at 2017, I reached 100 meter, 103 meter, 105, and then 108 meters. I arrived with no problem of equalization. I was really, really surprised. But that's actually the time when I realized the potential with the normal Frenzel technique is finished. But personally, just for me, it's finished. Then I go to Aharon. He said, "Hey, I can't equalize any deeper. I just can't. I have done, the RV to 30 meters, sometimes 31, 32 maximum, but we don't need that. The depths, the problem is not at the pressure anymore. It's not the blood shape for sure. Then we try to working on focus on looking for problem of the techniques. Then I don't practice the mouthfill, right? I have never done that before. I can do it, but for me, to change the technique 2 or 3 months right before the competition is not a really wise decision, because the equalization is actually takes a long time for me to adapt to this kind of depths. Then Aaron Solomons mentioned about introducing me the beta wave. Now, at the very beginning, I have no idea how to perform the beta wave at all. What I know is Frenzo. What I know is mouthfill. Beta wave is a pain. When I know, I joined Gilneri's a workshop a long time ago, but he says it's he was natural born this technique, and his extrusion tube. Extrusion tube is like a highway, and then I think my tube is like a very narrow and a lot of curves. So I told him that it's really, really difficult for me. Then he said that it's difficult, but that's why you need to work on it, and that's where the potentials are. And if you only haven't tried yet, you should give it a try. And this is how blah blah blah. He explained how I'm going to do it. At the very beginning, I can't perform it at all, but I carry in mind that the BTV technique is actually the practice of this process actually to serve the ultimate target of to equalize without doing it. What I mean is, using his words, it's called what is that word? The word is unconsciousness equalization, or equalize with your subconscious. Then it sounds really it's really tricky, but I know that when he explained this kind of technique, it's not you cannot describe this by words, but by when you're at the very depths, he simulates one situation is if you took a baby to do the to take an elevator, or you took a baby to take the airplane. They actually equalize by themselves and without performing the equalization maneuver. That's actually the key element, or the key thing that you really needs to remember. So I took the idea of I need to master, not really master, but I need to acquire the skill of doing the BTV. It took me a long time, and it took me several travels. I go to joined Andrea Zuccali's workshop, and he taught me how to practice the BTV. Then the exercise he taught me also. Then I actually practice this on daily basis, and eventually there comes a time. At one time, I took my mask and I dive. With big surprise, I can dive 20 meters above with a mask without pinching the nose. That's when the fun begins. I started to doing rounds and rounds of equalization, but not on the RV, but on actual dive. For example, when I try to make a dive to 90 meters, I would set up an alarm, and I would use the amount of the air left in the mouth. And when I reach 80 meters, I hear the alarm. I will switch from Frenzo to BTV, and that's the point when I realized how easy the equalization can be. It doesn't take a huge amount of effort to perform the BTV. Everyone who perform this technique knows it's really tiny movement of the muscle. Then after that, I adapt this technique when there is very little amount of air that is available in my mouth, which means eventually when I reach to 105 meters, something around some depths around that area, I would start applying the BTV immediately, and I try to equalize with BTV as frequent as I could, and eventually at that point I cannot remember anymore that I am doing a BTV, and that's the time when after my friend zone potential is finished, normally 105 meters, I will start doing an equalization, which is called unconsciousness equalization by Aolin Wang. That's the time I think the depth does not mean how to say is the depth it's just become a number. I've not worried about the depths I'm reaching anymore. The equalization will eventually happens when you do anything many times. And just like I think like Frenzo, if someone asks me from 0 to 50 meters, from 0 to 30 or 70 meters, how many times of Frenzo you have done? I've not remember at all. I just do it. I think what Aharon is trying to explain to nowadays, a lot of people have equalization problems, and they got into the mass work of what depths I should charge my mouse, and the deeper I charge, the more the more air that will be available at the depths. But this only works on paper. Actually, only works on paper, and for me, who coming back from a background who don't know how to perform the Frenzo, and I work my way out. I start doing the Frenzo. I never know a T log, a H log, a K log. I just do it, and right now I acquired the BTV, and eventually I start doing equalization. If you ask me to explain to you right now, I would say do things more frequently and do a lot of practice following your coach and following if you want to if you want to really go deeper. It's really, really important to go to a coach that can easily identify the problem that you have right now. I evidently benefit a lot from the coaching, the remote, actually just a remote coaching program that I have with Aaron Solomons. It has been worked really well, and I have over the years I have reached my goal. Before it was like 80 meters is my dream. Then there was one time a TV program they asked, "What is your goal?" Then I don't know where it comes from. I want to dive to 100 meters, but every time I meet the obstacles, every 10 meters, no, so 70, 80, 90, 100, and 110, but to the point when I start, and every time I reach the depths I couldn't imagine possibly I can reach to, there's always a limit that you think I cannot do that anymore. I have to stop right now. But the moment I changed my mind is at the moment when I dived beyond 100 meters. My target is just 100 meters, but I think that's my limit. That's my limit. But eventually I have been to 113 without having any problems with the equalization. So if my oxygen is fine, if the my body can still adapt to the pressure without any kind of like potential barotraumas, I would continue. I would continue to train, but right now, like the coronavirus hit the globe like crazy. I would working on some just remote coaching program with Aaron Solomons, with your coach, whoever it may be, to continue to become a better free diver, and whatever your goal is, whatever your dream is, make sure that if you are an athlete, make sure you have a good coach, and make sure you be a good boy of listening, be a good boy and be a good listener. Your coach will help you, and you will never fail. And this is also my words to you, Aaron Solomons. I I actually, have not been spending much time after 2018, after I finished competing in the Bahamas. I reached in the training 113 meters, and I for that competition, I really carried my mind of I want to win. I want to really get a medal. I want to get a medal for you, old man. Not gold, not silver. I had the chance of getting a medal for you in the World Championship and in the vertical blue, but sometimes I failed you, or I failed myself, but in the past 4 years, nearly 5 years, it has been a really great, and it's a journey. It's a journey for me, who was a freediver who doesn't know much about why we freediving, and I continue to meeting the obstacles, and I continue to fail. Um, but you have been leading me and guiding me the way to become a greater freediver. That's how you wrote. Thank you for that. Um, I think I have reached a point where I think the 110 meters is a number that I want to reach to the end. What I mean is, this is my ultimate goal. Seriously, I am sure with a lot of training, I can, no doubt about, I can still go deeper. But I want to spend more time with the families, with my daughter Olivia, with Vivian, with my mom, to have more fun with the families, and I want to carry on what you taught me before, what you have taught me along the way my professional career. I want to pass on your knowledge, pass on your attitude towards how to become a better freediver and how to become a good freediving instructor, to coach an athlete that is good, that is elite at the elite level, and to train more freediver who is not at the very beginning not spoiled. Train them to fall in love with themselves. Train them to fall in love with the ocean, with the animals there, to really use the freediving, use the relationship with they established with the ocean, to become a better person. Because this is what I'm feeling right now. I enjoyed being a competitive freediver so much. I enjoyed all the failures I have ever been to. I remember most of the early turns. I remember the pressure. I remember the pain from the contraction. I remember everything. I remember everything about it. I remember every time I took the oxygen. How does it taste at the 5 meters to decompress? Most of the people don't need oxygen when they dive to actually 100 meters. They don't need it, but we gain that fun of I dive to 100 meters. I got to take the oxygen. That's my thing. So that's a lot of fun to train with you in the past 5 years, and I would recommend everybody who wants to become an elite freediver, who want to become a great athlete, to, if they are lucky enough, and if they are of course happy to pay for the remote coaching, then they should go to you. So right now my job is to pass on your knowledge. I want to go back to Bohol. I want to build a bigger team, and to continue your legacy. I want to do that, to continue your legacy. So that's pretty much of it, Aaron Solomons, and thank you, Alina, for all the help over the years. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not quitting freediving at all. I'm just taking another career path of enjoying the ocean. I really hope you guys stay well and stay safe. Put on your mask, a real mask on land, to stay around from the virus, coronavirus. And I look forward of seeing you guys. Bye bye. Take care.
Okay. Can I answer that now?
Yeah, sure.
Aolin, my breath is taken away. I wasn't expecting that. I have to say that I was surprised and incredibly moved by what you said. I feel that you didn't give yourself enough credit. In a relationship between a coach and an athlete, it is never, information is never a one-way street. We discuss things together, we arrive at conclusions together, and the most important thing for a coach is that the conclusions that we arrive at together are actually done, that not something else is done. I've had that with other people. With you, it was consistently, whatever we agreed to, it was done. And it was such a joy working with you because there was complete trust. And that's something that's very, very, very rare. It was a great privilege. You are, for people who don't know you, a great gentleman, a great sportsman, apart from being a very great athlete. And that makes life, of course, a lot easier. Also, you're a lot of fun to be with. I will have to mention your last challenge, I think, which was narcosis. So our schedule of drinking 17 beers in 2 hours was helping to get inurement to narcosis. I think that was a good plan, don't you? I mean, it was a lot of fun, if nothing else. Anyway, more seriously, I just finished, it must have been telepathy, I just finished a video on second stage RV, unconscious equalisation, that we were discussed and talked about, and I think I found even better ways of teaching it today. But it's been fun. It's been a wonderful journey. Maybe one day it'll pick up again. But if I had to leave a legacy among all the elite divers I know, there's no question of who that legacy should go to. One of the other things I wanted to mention, Aolin, was something else that I think that I haven't had a chance to show my appreciation for. We cooperated on instructor courses that I did in China, and where we were working live together. The entire burden throughout very intense courses over 9 days or more of translating every single word from my English to Mandarin, I think, was a fantastic effort. And not only that, but our discussions on how best to present the material, how to teach specifically Chinese students, everything else. It's obvious that without your help, that would not have happened. I think the cooperation turned out to be a very good one. I learned a lot myself, and I think that you're a magnificent teacher, and anything that I could do to support that and help with that, please ring my doorbell any day. So I really want to thank you for all your very kind words, and I hope we meet again soon. And I want a final message. We are in the throes of Corona here. We have a government in chaos. We have a mess in the society, a lot of divisions. But there's one shining light. The coronavirus may have come out of China, but China very quickly got its stuff together and is leading the way in showing us how to deal with it. And I would like to congratulate the Chinese, all the Chinese that I know and all the Chinese students that I've had, and say that I appreciate what the Chinese people have done, the sacrifices they've made, their courage, their persistence, their unity and their discipline, and congratulate it. I know that this is important for you, and I felt it was overdue for me to say that. So I hope we meet soon again. My love to your wife, your daughter, and yourself, and stay healthy.